Welcome and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I want to talk about the probably most loved tradition in Sweden. I'm talking about Midsummer. I have realized that I actually have celebrated Midsummer in Sweden already 4 times. But that's actually not it. I celebrated Swedish Midsummer even before I moved to Sweden. And in today's video, I just want to talk a little bit about my experience and what I did each time I celebrated Swedish Midsummer. Before we dive into the many Midsummers, make sure to subscribe to my newsletter and you will also receive a little ebook asking you 10 questions if Sweden is the right fit for you. So after you hit subscribe, let's get started. So my first Swedish Midsummer was quite a while back. I think it was in 2012. I worked in London at the time and I met a Swedish person at work and we worked closely together and also became friends. So when Swedish Midsummer came around, she actually took me to Hyde Park in London, where Swedish people in London celebrated Midsummer. I had no idea that actually Swedes outside of Sweden also try to celebrate Midsummer. It's that important to them. And I was actually quite surprised how big it was. There were so many Swedish people in Hyde Park, lots of picnic blankets, and there was also some dancing going around. So yeah, that was my first Swedish Midsummer outside of Sweden in London. Then I celebrated another Swedish Midsummer before we moved to Sweden. I think it was in 2015, a few years after my first Swedish Midsummer, and it was actually with the same friend from London. By that time she actually moved back to Sweden and invited me and Chris, my partner, to come and celebrate Swedish Midsummer with her. And we didn't even celebrate in Stockholm. We were driving, I don't know how long actually, somewhere outside, a few hours far away from Stockholm, and I have no idea where we went. I have to ask her again what it was called, but basically she invited us to a friend's parents' summer house and she had a few friends there. This was something they actually traditionally did every year and we had the privilege to be part of this that year. It was really cool. We were introduced to traditional food. They collected flowers, made flower crowns and had the pole as well. And of course there was a lot of drinking involved, but it was so much fun and we celebrated the whole night. Because on Midsummer it also doesn't really get dark, the longest day in the year, so it doesn't really get super dark and not for long at all. Before I continue with my first Swedish Midsummer after we moved to Sweden, I wanted to give a big shout out to Lovevery. They have been a part of my life and also in some of the YouTube videos here because I'm an absolute fan and they create fantastic science-backed play kits designed to help your kids learn and grow. My kids absolutely love them. Each kit is filled with high quality toys and activities tailored to their developmental stages. It has been a game changer in our household. We have a few kids now already in our house and I like to rotate the different toys so they discover it again and again. It really works perfectly. If you want to have a look what they offer for each age, then have a look at their website. There's a link in the description down below. So in 2021, on 1st of June, we finally moved to Sweden. And shortly after we moved, we actually celebrated our 3rd Midsummer. And this time it was in Skansen in Stockholm. They have a fantastic program during Midsummer. And if you don't know Skansen, it's basically a local zoo, so with lots of animals and some attractions and perfect for kids. At the time we actually had only one child, but she absolutely loved it. And so did we parents. And actually shortly after our first Midsummer, I found out that I was pregnant with our second child. Just a random fact. In 2022, we actually celebrated Swedish Midsummer at my other Swedish friend's house, although not her house, but her husband's parents' house. So it was quite a family gathering, but they invited us as friends and we were super grateful for it because it was amazing. I remember it was quite hot, so they had a little pool and the kids were spending a lot of time in the pool, but also the food was amazing. This is one of the things I really love about Swedish Midsummer because they dish all those traditional Swedish foods. There's a lot of fish involved. And what I also liked is that they have these traditional songs where you're about to drink schnapps and before that, yeah, you have a special song. Then last year, 2023, we celebrated our 5th Swedish Midsummer. By then, I think we're already an expert in Swedish Midsummer. Although I have to say, we never organize it ourselves. We always like cling to someone else, especially a Swedish person who knows all the traditions, all the details you need to know about Swedish Midsummer. But nonetheless, we had another amazing Swedish Midsummer last year. I did make a little video about it, so I will just include it here. Last year we went back to celebrate with my original Swedish summer friend, the one from London. We celebrated in her house, and then we also went to a little gathering where they danced around the pole. Just have a look yourself. And last but not least, we celebrated again Midsummer this year in 2024. And we actually repeated a little bit the same tradition from last year. So we celebrated with my Swedish friend at her house. Well, actually this time it was at her neighbor's house, and a few neighbors of hers joined. So this time it was with more Swedish people. And we really enjoyed it. And we got to talk to some Swedish people and actually one Londoner. But one thing I was a little bit shocked this time was basically all the families were bringing their lunch to the house. So we had a lunch together, but basically we were only allowed to eat our own lunch. So it looked like a huge buffet, but then you could only eat your own lunch. And it's not that it was forced or anything, but that was kind of the rule, my friend told me. And that I thought was a little bit weird, because why would you not share all your food together? There was definitely a lot of leftover from each family. So yeah, it was just weird why you would not share all your food together. That was really new, and I've never experienced anything like that. So I was wondering if that is something specifically Swedish, or if it was just a coincidence that the neighbors decided to bring their own lunch and not share it. I don't know, it was weird. But everyone was lovely, we still had an amazing time, and here are a few impressions for you.